What if you could actually see a headache coming, hours before the pain even kicks in? It sounds kind of like a superpower, right? Well, it might be closer to reality than you think. Today, we're going to play detective and try to decode one of the most common mysteries out there, the unpredictable headache.
Oh man, we've all been there. You're having a totally fine day, you're productive, and then bam, it starts. That little bit of pressure, that dull ache that just tells you your entire day is about to get sideswiped. It feels completely random, totally out of your hands.
But what if it's not random at all? What if the clues to that ambush have been there the whole time? We're going to look in two places you might not expect: the sky right above you and the rhythm deep inside your own chest.
Okay, so let's start with the number one suspect, the weather. I'm sure you've heard someone say, "Ugh, I can feel a storm coming in my head." Is there actually any truth to that old saying? Let's dig in.
Well, it turns out it's not just a few people. The American Migraine Foundation says that for more than a third of people with migraines, this weather connection feels incredibly real. We're talking millions of people. So yeah, this is definitely something we need to take seriously.
So the main thing we're talking about here is something called barometric pressure. The easiest way to think about it is just the weight of the air pressing down on everything. And when a big weather system like a storm moves in, that pressure drops. It's that change, especially a fast drop, that a lot of people swear is their biggest trigger.
But how on earth can the weight of the air mess with something inside your skull? Well, the theory goes that it doesn't really cause the pain, but it puts your whole system on high alert. You can think of the trigeminal nerve as the main pain alarm for your head. A sudden dip in air pressure might just crank up the sensitivity dial on that alarm, making it way more likely to go off.
So what's the official word from science? Well, it's kind of a mixed bag. Some studies have definitely found a link, yeah. But then a huge review of a bunch of studies basically said the evidence is all over the place. Now, that doesn't mean the connection isn't real for you, but it does mean it's not a simple, universal trigger for everyone, which makes it super tricky to study.
And it's rarely just about the pressure. Other things can pile on and make it worse. Big, sudden temperature swings, super high humidity, even where you live can play a part. If you're somewhere with constantly changing weather, you might feel it a whole lot more.
All right, so that's the world outside of you. Now let's turn our investigation inward. Let's talk about the signals that come from inside your own body.
If the weather is like an external clue, what are the internal ones? Because your body, it often sends out these little warning shots hours, sometimes even a full day before the pain really sets in. The trick is just learning how to listen for them.
And one of the biggest signals is something called heart rate variability, or HRV. Now, this isn't about how fast your heart is beating. It's about how regular the rhythm is. A healthy, relaxed body actually has a ton of tiny little variations between each beat. That's high HRV. But when your system is stressed, your heart starts beating like a perfect metronome. That's low HRV, and it's a huge sign that your fight or flight system is working overtime.
And this can set off a whole chain reaction. It might start with a stressor. Could be a bad night of sleep, could be that storm that's rolling in. Your body's internal balance gets thrown off, your HRV starts to dip, and all of a sudden, your risk of getting a headache just shoots way up.
And these internal changes, they often come with physical hints, symptoms you might normally just brush off. It's called the prodrome phase. You know, that weird fatigue you can't explain, or suddenly feeling super irritable for no reason. That's not just random. That's your body whispering, hey, a headache's on its way.
So we've got clues from the weather outside and clues from our body inside. But how do we actually put them all together?
Well, this is where modern tech becomes our personal detective.
I mean, for the first time ever, we have these amazing little devices that can just passively track these tiny internal changes 24/7. Wearables, smart rings, watches, they're logging your HRV, your sleep, your heart rate, giving you this objective look at what's really going on inside your body while you're just living your life.
And this right here is where it all clicks. Just look at this example. On Monday, everything is great, pressure's stable, HRV is solid. But then look at Tuesday. The pressure starts to fall, and what happens to the HRV? It tanks. And right on cue, those early symptoms show up: fatigue, irritability. By Wednesday, with both low pressure and low HRV, bam, the full-blown migraine hits. This is exactly what finding your personal pattern looks like.
And the great news is you don't have to track this stuff forever. For most people, doing it for about 4 to 6 weeks is enough time to really start seeing these kinds of patterns emerge. You just need a little bit of data to get through different weather and life events.
And this is so important. The key isn't one single reading. Don't freak out over one bad HRV score. It's the trend that tells the story.
You're looking for that slow downward slide over a day or two that gives you a heads up that, hey, your defenses are a little low right now. Okay, so you've found your pattern. You've cracked the code. That's awesome. But what do you actually do with that information? Let's talk about taking back control.
The entire point of all this is to completely change the game. We want to move from being reactive, just sitting around and waiting for the pain to hit, to being proactive. You see a high-risk day on the horizon, and you take action before the pain even gets a chance to start.
So, what does that action look like? A lot of the time, it's the basics. On a day when your data says you're vulnerable, maybe you make an extra effort to stay hydrated. You're super strict about your bedtime, or you do a quick 10-minute meditation to lower your stress. You're just building up your defenses when you know an attack might be coming.
There are even some pretty specific tools for specific triggers. Like if you know for sure that pressure changes are a huge problem for you, there are these special earplugs designed to slow down how fast that pressure change affects you, giving your body more time to adjust. It's pretty cool.
And really, this quote says it all. When you put the data from outside your body together with the data from inside your body, you can actually start to see a headache coming. Now, it's not a cure, but it is a form of control. It's knowledge. And you know what they say? Knowledge is power.
So I'll just leave you with this question. The answer to why does my head hurt today might not be in some medical textbook. For the first time ever, it might be right there, in your own data, just waiting for you to find the pattern.